Man, that's bullshit. Hello everyone, welcome to the very first episode of Bullshit Science, the show where we try to understand the science behind science fiction, and probably fail miserably. Yeah, you can decide if we fail miserably or not. Anyways, I'm Bill Armstrong.
And I'm Quentin Johnson, also known as the Birdman.
Okay, today's topic, alcohol. Could it replace fossil fuels?
Yes or no?
Well, that's what we're here to discuss, man.
All right.
Okay, so this question comes from the show Futurama, because, okay, so you know in Futurama, Bender the robot, and technically all the robots, if I'm not mistaken, they all drink alcohol, and that, like, powers their fuel cells.
Yes.
Is that possible? Could we do that?
Well, technically...
Could we build a robot that's programmed to steal things and be a complete and total last to everyone?
Well, I don't know about that specifically, but we could make a robot that runs on fuel made of alcohol, because right now, methanol and ethanol are both fuel sources made from alcohol that are used in vehicles and other machines. So, I mean, it may be difficult to have a robot run on alcohol, because that robot would have to consume alcohol a lot, because it is a very fast-burning fuel source, which in the show they do consume alcohol a lot, so I guess that is an accurate take. But how often do you think robots would have to consume alcohol to continue?
That's actually a good question. It depends a lot probably on the efficiency of them. Ethanol and methanol. Okay, so I knew those were alcohol based. That I knew.
Okay. So are you just
how would it work? Would they like it? I don't know. Would you just take alcohol and just burn it the same way that you burn oil? Could that work?
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what you do with methanol.
You did a lot of research for a show about speculation.
Well, you know, I like to know my facts. For instance,
that's no fun.
I was forced to go to a monster truck show last weekend by my mom, who had gotten VIP tickets from work. And instead of actually watching the monster trucks, I researched monster truck engines and what the engines ran on, and I discovered that monster truck engines actually run on methanol. They are one of the only widely used vehicles. Well, not widely used, but they're used in shows. They're the only vehicles that use methanol as a main fuel source. And they do this because you can achieve very high horsepowers in such a heavy vehicle, but it doesn't really matter.
You can also crush a guy's skull.
But it doesn't matter that methanol is a very fast-burning fuel source, because it's a monster truck. It only needs to run for an hour at a time to show off the fact that it's a big truck with large tires. You know, it's not a reasonable fuel. They go through an entire 10, maybe 30 gallons of methanol every monster truck show. So
anyways, so wait. So methanol, if it's fast burning, why'd they go for it in Futurama? Or did they do that, or is it just beer? Wait. Bender drinks beer. You see him in the show, he is drinking beers and shit.
Which has a very low alcohol content.
So, so if methanol is fast burning, what is the reasonable, why would someone want to go for it? Okay, I get why they would want to go for it in monster trucks, but what if someone wanted to power their car with methanol?
Well, certain cars have been powered by methanol, but again, it's race cars and not actual driving road vehicles.
Okay, let's exclude any professional car driving shenanigans. Let's forget about Fast and Furious and NASCAR.
Say you want to put
trucks.
You want to put methanol in your Honda Civic and drive to the nearest city or something.
Could you just pour it in there and just see if it works?
I mean,
or would you kill yourself because it blows up?
I mean, I don't think that's a good idea. But say you had a puddle of gasoline, and say you had a puddle of methanol.
And don't forget the methamphetamine.
Say you had a pile of meth. No, say you had a paddle.
Use meth to power your car.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
To stay on the topic, say you had a puddle of methanol, say you had a puddle of gasoline. You lit them both at the same time. The gasoline would generate more energy and burn slower, and the methanol would burn quickly and not as hot as the gasoline would. So
in other words, fuck methanol. It is a piece of shit when it comes to fueling your damn car.
But you could make your car very fast with methanol because it burns quickly. But That being
Yeah,
said,
and then get
I don't know why they're...
because you'd like drive off a fucking cliff.
For starters, I don't know why they're drinking alcohol in the show, and I don't know why the robots are drinking beer. Because there's a very low alcohol content in beer, and they could achieve a lot more energy, and they would not have to drink it as much if they just drank gasoline instead. But maybe gasoline is run out.
Well,
And it's the future. Why don't they just have, like, nuclear fusion cores inside of them?
because
Like every...
I don't know. Did you ever hear of a little thing called Chernobyl?
Chernobyl.
Damn, dude, nuclear power, it's not good.
Well,
You could get yourself cancer from that.
but they're robots. They can't get cancer. I
Yeah,
mean,
but
they'll
if the
give ev-
robot... Okay, let's say the robot, something happens, damages the hull. Next thing you know, nuclear stuff is leaking out of the robot's ass or something. All the humans nearby are dead, okay? They're getting thyroid cancer and dying, sick, in a hospital bed.
Then why wouldn't they use
Unless, of course, they have a cure for cancer by then. But
Yeah,
then
I
again,
meing-
cancers, there's all different forms.
Yeah.
We're not
okay,
getting into
so
cancer
why
right now.
would they not use like chemical reactions,
Oh.
like a standard battery instead? That
I
would
don't know, probably
why-
because if
why
that fails, you get battery acid everywhere?
they're making cars
I mean-
run on batteries instead.
Well,
Why not solar panels? Why are they drinking
because
the least effective fuel source?
solar panels are shit, man. They don't work in rain and stuff. So if it's a rainy day, boom, your robot doesn't work anymore. Next thing you know, you have to make dinner by yourself.
Yeah, I guess that's true. I mean, yeah. Let's
But
let's,
wait,
let's
wait,
do
wait,
let's
go
do
on.
a Google search. Is alcohol a drug? No.
Yes, alcohol is a drug.
Alcohol.
Uh,
Alcohol, a reasonable fuel source. Wow, I can't spell today. Alright, so the first thing says, what are the problems? Alternative fuels to gasoline. Anyways, I'll let you say what you're going to say first.
actually, solar panels don't work
Yeah, I
when
know.
the weather is bad.
Or during the nighttime.
However, now, the solar panel thing, that actually is a pretty good idea. And solar panels, as we know them right now, as the common public knows them, are just shit. There's no denying that. They're shit. Useful, but terrible. However, I remember hearing something about a guy running a company that was working on better solar panels that could work in weather, and even if they got damaged, they could still work to some extent. I don't know if that's true or not. You're gonna have to fact check that.
What was that?
I don't remember exactly. I heard about it like a few years ago.
Say it into Google. Hold on.
Just-
Enable OK Google. What? I don't... Okay, whatever.
Okay, everyone, Quentin doesn't know how computers work. Okay,
I
you
do
know
know-
what? Forget this.
You know,
can just...
I'm a computer technician, but, you know, when I click enable OK Google, literally nothing happens.
Okay, so then just forget about it. Just type it in.
Okay, type what?
Anyways, I could be wrong. Okay,
Okay.
you know what? Just forget it. Let's
Alright,
forget about
well,
it.
I have...
Move on. We're
Okay.
moving on.
I've witnessed something, and here's something we don't have to fact check.
People like
In-
getting drunk? Yeah, we know this already. It's not
I'm still
news.
talking about solar panels.
Oh.
Okay. In the deserts of Arizona, Nevada, Utah, what have you, there are mirrored solar panels where there's one big mirror that focuses all of the sunlight that it can collect into the surrounding solar panels. So even when there's very small amounts of light, like if it's cloudy, it can still collect that light and put it into the solar panel.
That sounds
I
to
bet I
me
can-
like a weapon a comic book villain would use to try
it
to
looks
kill
like
people.
it looks like something that would just like vaporize you if you walked into it. See, you have a lot of solar panels, and then you have a big mirror, and the mirror goes on all the solar panels. So it collects all the light from over here, light from over here, light from over here, puts it on these solar panels. So instead of just the light focused on the solar panels being collected, it's all of the area's light.
Okay, now that's actually pretty smart. Dangerous still for people, but pretty smart.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's a disadvantage to all of these alternative fuel sources so far. Okay, nuclear power, you get cancer and die. Battery acid, you get acid on your hands and you have no hands and become a cripple or something.
I've never done that. I use batteries every day, and
And-
I've never gotten battery acid on my hands.
Well, and still, you still need a way to charge the batteries, though.
Yeah, that's true. You still need
So
to...
why even bother with the batteries? Just have the fuel source just directly connected to them. And besides, the fuel cells are still batteries in a sense. So technically the robots in Futurama drinking beer and wine and all that, they're just charging up the batteries for the day. Kind of like when a person drinks coffee, except probably less or more of an addiction. It depends on where you stand on your coffee.
Less of an addiction than alcohol?
I don't know. It is possible to become addicted to caffeine, I know that.
Yeah.
It's possible to become addicted to anything.
Yeah, that's true.
You
can be addicted to...
You can just ask a nymphomaniac about that, okay?
You can be addicted to, yeah, whatever. I don't need an
Anyways,
example. People can
on.
understand what we're talking about.
Let's just move forward. Solar panels, especially with this whole configuration thing that looks like a satellite dish, you walk into that thing, you're dead.
No one's gonna go over there. There's a fence around it.
What if you need to do some repairs? What if something goes wrong and it turns back on? You're dead.
Something's not gonna go wrong at nighttime. The sun's not gonna just shoot up into the sky and vaporize you. If you work on it at night, you can be okay.
In the world of Futurama, there's a lot of crazy stuff that happens. There was an episode where they reversed the rotation of the Earths.
The Earths?
Yes, the Earths. There's an episode where, like, evil cats or something reversed the rotation of the Earth. I probably remember that wrong, but that...
So
there's
you're saying...
a lot of weird stuff that happens. You never know.
Okay, that's a one-time thing. So that's like a few guys...
Not.
That's a few guys working on this...
Not.
Okay, the reversing of the Earth was a one-time thing. That's a few guys working on the solar panels getting vaporized once. That's all that... Because if you reverse the Earth, the sun's going to come back up, then they're dead. But in a normal Earth rotation, you can trust that once it's nighttime, the Earth is not going to rotate around to the sun again for a certain amount of time.
Well, okay.
Unless cats do shit.
Wait. What about the episode where, like, the sun begins expanding or something and Mars gets blown up? Like, that had effects on Earth.
Then you have even more power, because, I mean...
Well, sure, you have more power, but next thing you know, anyone who's doing maintenance is probably now dead.
Why would you do maintenance during the day, though? I mean...
Well, it doesn't necessarily have to be a day. Okay, I'm pretty sure...
You can see the light rays.
If the
I
sun
drove by one of these, and it hurt my eyes to look at it.
If the sun expands, it's safe to assume that we might get some sunlight on the other side of the planet that's not, the side that's not facing the sun. Now, I'm no physician, but I think that it might be possible.
It's not the correct doctorate degree, but...
We're not supposed to be 100% accurate on this show. Especially me.
Yeah, I guess. I mean...
They've
been using them for a while.
Maybe the sun expanding doesn't affect the other side of the planet that isn't currently seeing the sun, but...
Alright, this is what I drove past.
There's also that fire monster. There's that fire monster in that one episode from the sun. Now, if that fire monster got to Earth and still produced sunlight naturally, because he's, from the damn sun, he could just go to one of these things and just murder everyone. And also then there's evil geniuses like the Professor Farnsworth himself, who could just take the thing and use it as a doomsday device. Like, honestly, this thing looks more like a doomsday device than a tool for gaining power.
So you're saying he would, take the mirror and point it on people and stuff?
Yeah. Oh, wait, there's actually an episode in Futurama where there is a bit... I think it's in the episode where, there's this whole pile of garbage coming to murder New York or whatever.
A pile of garbage?
I don't know. It might have had something to do with the sun.
Like a personified pile of garbage? Or just
it was inanimate. It was just coming back to Earth because... I don't know.
So it was like an asteroid
Science, I guess.
Garbage. So it was an asteroid of garbage.
Actually, I think that was the wrong episode. I think it was the episode where freaking global warming and Al Gore and all that happened. Anyways...
I have something else, but continue.
They had... In order to counteract the global warming, they tried putting a giant mirror into orbit to deflect some of the sunlight. And then, a bit of space rubble hit it. Next thing you know, it pointed on the entire science convention that was there, and everyone died. I'm just saying, this stuff's dangerous. You shouldn't be playing with mirrors, man. You could become, I don't know,
You could be like an
Crisp.
ant, like an ant when you point a magnifying glass
You
at
could
it.
become a crisp meal for a giant.
Yeah. Speaking of giants, actually, and fuel sources.
Patton Oswalt voiced the giant from Futurama. Yes, we all know this.
No, that's in
great voice actor.
in Rick and Morty. So technically they're giants, or no, technically they're small people. So what he uses for his car battery is he
Keep
hasn't.
bumping the table.
Sorry, table. What he has, yeah, I can see that table rumble. But what he has as his car battery is a mini universe inside of the battery where he has a bunch of little slaves creating fuel,
I saw that episode the
creating
other night.
energy. And then inside of that one, there's another one creating their energy. Inside of that one, blah blah blah. Yeah.
And then inside of that one, the dude's like working on it. Yeah.
Yeah. And then they all like kill each other and stuff. Kind of like how Rick and Morty
Peace
always.
among world trick.
Yeah, that was a good one.
So
but
good.
yeah, everything has to end with everyone dying in Rick and Morty, of course. But how do you feel about that being used as a fuel source? Do you think that's realistic? Do you think that is complete bogus? Do you think it's a good fuel source? Do you think it's unfair to the people that are in the little universe?
Well, for starters, I think Rick and this is not necessarily relevant to the topic, but just something that's kind of interesting and something that our listeners can take into consideration. I have a feeling that Rick and Morty and the show Gravity Falls take place in the same in the same universe or whatever.
I have never seen Gravity Falls.
You're dead to me. No, not really. It's a great show about like growing up and stuff. It's a kids show, but unlike most kids shows nowadays, it's actually good, and it's not just good; it's great.
It's got an 8.9 out of 10 on IMDb.
Yeah,
That-
and it's
that
well
means-
deserved. It is well deserved. That 8 point whatever you just said.
It pretty much has a 9 out of 10. So
Great show. We just gave them free advertising. Alex Hirsch, give us money. We promoted your show for you.
but we also promoted 2 other shows. Rick and Morty is a very good show.
Everyone, give us money. Anyways,
Look at this pun. What's up with that? Because get it has to deal with energy, but it's also what's
good. Anyways, going back, the whole battery thing, like the mini universe and the micro universe, is being used to produce the power. I don't know, honestly, because first off, because he says in the show that he takes some of the power that's produced and that gets diverted to charging his phone and his car and all that. How does he do that?
How does he
that's my
gather
question.
up the power they create?
How can he divert some of the power? I mean, it's another universe, yes.
What does he use to collect the power? Like,
It's a completely different world. Like,
does he
how
just
is it connected?
plug it into their universe and then suck the
Is
electricity
there,
out
is
of
there
it?
a giant just outlet on their planet that he plugs things into?
Well, I mean,
Is that how Rick does things?
consider it is possible to somehow create this small universe and do all this shit.
It'd be great to study it to see the progression of life and all that, especially if it's at an accelerated
But
rate.
look at how like lit up it is. Like it's so shiny that I feel like if you even poked it, you would get like some sort of energy from it. Because
yeah,
I mean,
that's that. Yeah,
look at they've just
true.
got stuff plugged into the side, and then the energy is just emitting from the universe. and
Okay, so it
coming
might
into
just
the
be
course.
energy from the universe itself, but then... Okay, but if it's energy from the universe itself, then why does Rick need people to stomp on those weird pad things that he invented? Like, what's up with that? Why would he need to have them do that if he can just get all the energy he needs to charge his phone and run his car from the universe itself? And also, now, here's another question. That universe is a smaller universe.
How is that tiny amount of energy actually doing anything?
Exactly. Like, would it be producing a smaller amount of energy because it is a smaller universe? Or is it like a black hole and it just gets more concentrated?
Is it producing the
the
same amount of energy that it would if you had everyone on Earth doing the footpad things? Or is it that amount of
we're
energy?
forgetting the footpad things because that's complete and total bullshit
Okay,
right there. That is
okay.
some bullshit science.
Okay, say everyone on Earth created an amount of energy. Let's just go with that. No example, nothing.
Okay, Matrix Syndrome, got it.
Yep, so we have all this energy. We shrink it down to one of these battery universes. Is it
Right.
the same amount of energy, just denser? Or is it actually a smaller amount of energy? Like, is it...
That's actually a good question.
Yeah. Is
Like,
it
'cause-
dense energy, or is it just the less energy.
Because, okay, well, let's think about it.
Because think about a star. If you smashed a star down, it would be the same amount of energy but denser.
Well, yeah, and it's also now a black hole. And
I'm not saying a black hole. A black hole is a star folded.
Okay, well, it's either a black hole or a pulsar. It's one of the two.
Or a dwarf star, like a white dwarf.
Nah, dwarf stars like when they shed their layers or whatever.
No, that's a brown dwarf. I'm talking about a white dwarf. A white dwarf is like a star smashed down that has the same amount of mass, same amount of gravity, but it's
I thought that was a pulsar.
You know, I'm not going to Google my 10th thing for today, but it probably is. I don't know. It could be, it couldn't be. But I'm pretty sure a brown dwarf has lost all of its stuff. A black hole is when the star is like, oh no, I'm losing all my energy. Let's
become a singularity?
Or we're collapsing, so let's shoot everything off. Bam,
and
supernova.
Singularity.
See, look at how bright this star is. This has got to be like a star with all of its energy composed into a...
Well, not necessarily, because I thought they were just...
And then this is the sad...
I thought that was just the heat, though. Because that... Oh wait.
This is a really
heat
sad...
comes from energy.
There's a sad little star. See, look at how big a brown dwarf is, and that's Jupiter, and that's Earth. That's a little baby star.
It looks like a ripoff of Jupiter.
It looks like a reskin of Jupiter, but like with a red opacity over it. I'm saying
I know what I'm talking
specifically.
about. I read a whole lot about astronomy when I was younger. It was like all this books and crap on astronomy.
Black dwarf. I'm pretty sure this is just a black hole, isn't it?
I would assume so.
Is this actually a star, or is this just a black hole?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Is this a real image? If this is a real image, that's really interesting. I don't know if that's fake or a real image, or if it's just like a... Wow, look at that.
I can see it. It's not a black dwarf.
It looks like
it's not black enough.
All of these stars also.
Yeah.
Or are those are probably galaxies.
Yeah, they're going to be galaxies. At that size, you're not going to see individual stars. You're going to see just flat out galaxies.
Like all those are galaxies.
Getting back to power, I don't know, it's hard to say. Would have to know the scale of matter, because in the Ant-Man movie, it's just condensed.
So what you're saying...
It's condensed matter when he shrinks,
is it
but
condensed?
In the comics, he extends his matter into another universe. So I'm thinking there could be three options with that universe thing that Rick has in his car inexplicably for the plot of that one episode. It could be that it is actually condensed, in which case I am surprised that it's not a damn black hole killing everyone. Or it's still condensed, sort of, but the matter was extended into another universe or another reality or something. Or, and this option I'm kind of more lenient towards, it's less matter.
I feel like it would be less matter. Because think of... Okay.
Because I don't think he would
think
have
of
any
Ant-Man
luck.
Shrinking, but the being condensed, so the atoms are the same size, right? The
Okay,
makeup of matter is the same size, but it's just condensed. So that means his atom to matter ratio is larger. So the atoms, technically, compared to his body, atoms are larger to him.
Well,
so
technically, he's just become black hole and killed everyone. But
so
let's not get into too far
that
the logistics here.
Wouldn't that give him a gravitational field for small objects? Like if he shrunk right here, wouldn't it pick up all this stuff? Or wouldn't dust all fly towards him?
Okay, you know what? Marvel, let's just admit, Marvel messed everything up with that movie by having it so that he's condensed. Because that's
I'm pretty sure if you did that,
that's bullshit,
a
right
bunch
there.
of
That
dust,
is bullshit.
a bunch of dust would start orbiting you, and
actually, Film Theory did a video on it, and I also fact-checked this. Ant-Man would become a black hole, especially at the end where he keeps shrinking and shrinking. He would become a black hole and kill everyone because, again, he's a black hole, and black holes have a tendency to suck, like a vacuum, except stronger.
I mean, this doesn't have anything to do with fuel, but let's go the other way.
What if we could take a power from a black hole and use it as fuel?
I mean, that
you
would
think that's possible?
Yeah, that's definitely the best fuel source. But why would you take...
Well, but then again, it goes back into the whole danger and hazard thing, though, because it's a black hole. You go over the event horizon and you're dead.
Time stops. Nothing is
real.
We
don't know what happens beyond the event horizon. We know that time slows.
Yeah.
Actually, if you run it through the equations,
if
you run it through the Lorentz equations,
exponent.
if you run it through the Lorentz equations, the location at the singularity of a black hole, if I remember correctly, you get an unreal number. So if you think about it, God's imagination comes from black holes.
Okay, I don't know anything about that. Anyways,
That's probably not real. It's just we don't know what happens there, and our math cannot.
Time decreases exponentially, so it gets to the point where if you watch someone go into a black hole, they will actually appear to stop at the event horizon.
Well, not only that, but they actually phase out into red. They phase out into red because of the gravitational redshift or whatever.
Same thing as if you were going at the speed of light and you turned your headlights on, because that would have a red shift from behind, I think, and a blue shift from the front. I don't remember what shifts of light it would be, but it would change the frequency of light, blah, blah, blah. Anyways, back to Ant-Man. If you grew Ant-Man, would his atoms be less dense and farther apart? Because when you get all flabby and fall apart.
That's actually another thing, because that's also...
Because if he grew to another side, wouldn't he just disconnect from himself?
But that puts another problem into the MCU when he becomes Giant Man in Civil War.
Yeah, so
because how did
his atoms not...
How
did he not particleize?
In one instance, he kills everyone. In the other instance, he kills himself.
Yeah.
Marvel fucked up with Ant-Man.
They should just say that the atoms grow or the atoms shrink with him, instead of saying that the atoms stay the same size.
Either that or they could have just gone with the comic book thing. Because honestly, with Marvel, people will just buy any crap that Marvel gives them. I mean, did you see Guardians of the Galaxy?
I mean,
that comic book is crap, but the movie was great.
Think of basic physics. Okay.
Expanded to another reality.
In basic physics, you have liquid, solid, gas, plasma. Okay,
at least when you hit high school, because for some reason you can't learn about plasma and crap in grade school.
Yeah, I learned about plasma, but in physics, okay.
Well, of course I learned about it in physics.
If he would, let's say he's not going to turn into plasma. Let's stick with the elementary school level.
Actually,
okay.
What about plasma? What about plasma as a fuel source? Let's get off of Ant-Man and the logic.
I want to finish this. We'll go to plasma. Okay, so you have... Alright, look at my hands. So you got a solid, but these are two atoms.
Right.
This is Ant-Man shrinking. Okay, this is Ant-Man growing. Technically, isn't this a gas? Wouldn't Ant-Man just turn into a gas if he grew?
He would become a Death Eater from Harry Potter.
Okay, let's just go to your plasma thing.
Well, no, because they turn into smoke. And if he turns into smoke, he's a Death Eater, except without the magic. Anyways, moving on.
There's already prototypes of microtechnology where you can have a robot go from a solid to a liquid. Anyways, continue. Have you seen that? Do some research on it later. Everyone listening, do some research. It's pretty cool. Don't quote me on that. If you can't find any research, then I don't know where I heard that, but
You heard it from a sci-fi movie filled with some bullshit science, brother. Where you got it
Is it bullshit science or is it not? Find out for yourself.
Find out for yourself. We might discuss it in a later episode. We're not sure yet. Plasma. Right. Plasma is a fuel source.
Is it a real fuel source?
Could we use it? I mean, granted, it would probably not be a good idea to use it on Earth, but what about using it as a fuel source maybe for a spaceship?
Plasma is similar to gas, but in gas you have individual atoms with electrons orbiting the atoms. But in plasma, the nucleus is random, and then the electrons are also random. So it's just atoms not really doing anything.
It's practically a clustercluck of atoms.
Yep. So that is plasma. That is how you have nice TVs. They contain the plasma. It makes the image look good. I don't know how they do that. Blah, blah, blah.
Through science.
Is it a good fuel source? Can you collect, the electrons without killing yourself?
It's probably not a good idea to try and use plasma as a fuel source. Kind of like how it's not a good idea to try and use a black hole for fuel. Just don't use those two things for fuel. You're gonna die. Or you're going to age 7 days in the span of 100 years and then find out that your daughter is dying of old age.
There's a way of containing plasma in a big blob. So think of because technically stars are plasma. Think of similar to nuclear fission. They have the plasma in a big contained area, so it's like a little
that
mini
even
star.
solidifies more that plasma's probably not a good idea if there's nuclear fission involved, because, well, I don't know, nuclear fission, good or bad? Mostly bad. Again, let's cite Chernobyl and Japan a few years ago. Actually, I think they're still dealing with that problem over there in Japan. They definitely are still dealing with it over in Chernobyl.
What is this man's first name? I'm going to quote someone, but I can't find his first name in this article.
So then just don't quote him.
Okay, his name is Dennis White. Alright, so the white man says, fusion should be looked upon as an attractive nuclear energy source. In the end, you need a baseline electrical power to run an industrial society, and fusion should provide that. But when you engineer these materials and environments, you have to know how they will all work together and interact. Our vision is to make this fusion energy source carbon-free and very safe. So he thinks he has an idea to
Make it safe.
Yeah. And your safety is your number one priority, of course.
Yeah.
Like,
look at
crazy Russian hacker on YouTube says, safety is the number one priority, and
Safety is number one priority in
you-
Soviet Russia.
Have you
find
seen-
you.
Have you seen him on YouTube?
Nah.
Not to make fun of anyone else, because we will be posting this on YouTube, but I get entertaining I'm entertained by watching him.
You get entertaining?
I get entertained.
You do get entertaining. I've been here this whole time. You've been pretty entertaining.
Okay. Yep. With magnetic fusion, you are basically trying to build the sun on Earth.
That sounds like a terrible idea.
But if you put the sun inside of something,
Actually, if you create a star on the Earth, wouldn't that create a gravitational field?
They've got one
Actually,
here.
wasn't that the plot of Spider-Man 2? Because didn't Doc make like a weird star thing on Earth for power or whatever, and it became so massive it began having a massive gravitational pull and began destroying shit?
I haven't watched Spider-Man 2 in like 5 years. Wait, what? Ultimate Spider-Man or Good Spider-Man?
The good one, not the dumb one with
With the
Andrew, I'm too damn good looking to be Peter Parker, Garfield. The cat.
Or the President.
Not the president was a cat. He was a cat in disguise. It is a conspiracy.
So,
Just wait, the first episode of our Conspiracy Theory podcast, Andrew Garfield, was he a cat? Probably.
Who cares about Bush? Who cares about 9/11? Was Andrew Garfield.
Andrew Garfield, really Garfield, from the comic strip, pretending to be the president back whenever Andrew Garfield was alive.
You want to talk about the corrupt American banking system? Well, we have something more interesting, and it involves cats. That is in the next podcast.
Not this show, but the next podcast we start, maybe, if we are running low on material. So plasma, I don't know. I'm very hesitant to think that plasma could be a reasonable alternative fuel because I don't know. I feel like
let's see.
There's too much hazard here. I feel like there's just too much hazard.
Let's see what Russ Dorner and Dennis White do with this, because apparently they have a very hot sample of plasma. It's 1,000 degrees Celsius, and apparently
1,000 degrees Celsius.
Apparently, it's not attracting
shit.
everything in the room. So apparently, there's not a gravitational field.
Yeah, but 1,000 degrees Celsius.
So
I don't even think magma's that hot. Is magma that hot? Look up the temperature of magma.
Is jet fuel that?
Actually, yeah, do that. Jet fuel. Is it? How hot is it? Is it 10,000 degrees?
Temperature of magma versus lava. So magma is 1,300 degrees Celsius. So it's it's not as hot as magma. 1,000 degrees compared to 1,300.
Okay, so.
And I think
okay,
jet fuel is
not that.
700 degrees Celsius. Jet fuel.
When it's being burned or when it's being put into the jet?
1,500 degrees Celsius. So it is like this plasma they have is the coldest thing they have, and temperature to melt.
Okay,
steel. It's 10 more degrees.
Holy crap! Actually, no. It looks to me like
look at this. It's 10 more degrees hotter than jet fuel, and yet the jet fuel burned and melted the steel beams. Anyways, that's for the conspiracy podcast. This is the bullshit science podcast.
This is okay. So I am now a bit more on board with plasma than I was before. It's not as dangerous as I thought.
It's not as dangerous as jet fuel. It's not as dangerous as magma. It's not as dangerous as...
Further proof that I'm a dumbass. And I don't know what I'm talking about.
It's not as dangerous as bullets. Probably.
Bullets aren't as dangerous as a black hole coming straight at your face, man.
Yeah, so you have to keep that in mind. Nuclear...
Okay, so... Nuclear fission... Dumb.
Technically,
Batteries
this is fusion.
kind of dumb.
Batteries are a different kind of fusion, but
Oh wait,
it's
that's right.
chemical
Plasma
fusion.
still has something to do with like nuclear fusion, doesn't it? Or fission. Okay, yeah, I'm back to being not on board with plasma fuel.
But it's not. It's not at the nuclear level. It's at the.
Oh, is it? It is.
Well,
Okay, well, I mean, okay, if it's not at the nuclear level, then in that case, yeah, sure, whatever.
yeah. So between the plasma
So-
or super hot gas, technically it's not gas. It's plasma. But because if you get the gas, you can't call gas a super hot solid. It says super hot gas here. So is
You smart, good.
is a liquid a super hot solid then? According to this article,
Yes.
is gas a super hot liquid?
Yes.
Well, gas is okay. I guess I see
You
where they're
smart,
coming from.
good.
I guess I see where they're coming from with this super hot gas thing. Because technically, water vapor is super hot water, and technically, water.
Isn't it technically a gas?
Yeah, vapor and gas is the same thing.
Yeah, so.
Vape
Anyways.
Nation, yo.
So far, based off of all of this, as of right now, the least hazardous of all these fuel sources, and honestly, seemingly most reliable, is alcohol. Like alcohol-based fuels, because the worst thing that can happen is you accidentally get some on you, and then you go to take a smoke, and next thing you know, you become Two-Face from The Dark Knight, because you burned half your face off.
Technically, it's a fossil fuel. Technically, gasoline's a fossil fuel. Fossil fuels will always be what
actually-
Earth is most comfortable with.
Actually, what if we could just get alcohol? Because that's renewable.
Not methanol, not ethanol, just alcohol.
Well, okay, I'm
So,
not sure
like-
if methanol
so like
and
you're
and
putting like
ethanol are
rubbing alcohol in.
grown or whatever and then made, but alcohol can be grown and made. The ingredients are grown and made. It could be a renewable source of energy that could be more reliable than solar panels and maybe less likely to invoke liberals going on rampages than hydro energy, and everything's more reliable than windmills.
Well, I mean,
like,
you can take a similar route with development of that, but slightly different. Instead of creating alcohol, you can create oil. So, say you have a vegetable, and instead of making whiskey with the corn, you make corn oil. There are vehicles that run on vegetable oil. It's proven to work.
That
it
is true.
smells like French fries.
that is true. It smells good and it works.
Yep. So, I mean, burn the alcohol, which burns hotter and faster, or gasoline, which is what everyone uses, but will run out because it's not renewable, or use cooking oil.
Well, gasoline also like pollutes and stuff as well.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, true.
that actually is a great segue into another point I wanted to bring up. I remember reading something, and I didn't actually read the full article. I probably should have, but I just saw the most ridiculous thing. I think the title of the whole thing was like advantages of alcohol as a fuel source or something, like the pros and cons. One of the pros it mentioned was that it could get pollution out of the air. Is that
What?
possible?
What can get pollution out of the air?
Using alcohol as a fuel? I don't think that's
I know.
possible. Because does burning alcohol cause greenhouse gases to come out of the air? Do we live in that kind of a world?
Getting rid of greenhouse gases.
I think what I just looked up was alcohol as a fuel source. I think it was like the second or third thing that came up.
What are greenhouse gases? How did this begin? What does it mean? Challenges. Wow, thanks for your help. I didn't
Okay,
need-
just search alcohol as a fuel source.
I think I already have that over here. No, I closed it. Alcohol. Well, have you seen the
I don't remember which one it was.
the new Diamond Company thing? Where they it's a concept
Where
but
they
they're-
like
they're
make diamonds
out of
by
the carbon in the
doing
air.
stuff. Yeah, I've heard about that, and I think I saw a recreation of what that process looks like in their evil lab or whatever.
They have to use more power to collect that carbon out of the air. They have to. There's stuff that, I mean, I have to research more, but
Anyways, off of diamonds.
Let's
unless,
break
of course,
this
you're
down to
planning
the
to propose
elements.
to your girlfriend, in
Okay.
which case we can continue to talk about diamonds.
I'm good.
We could look up some rings.
Anyways, so let's just talk about atoms. Let's not talk about making those things out of atoms, because technically gasoline, alcohol, oil, that's all just carbon. So should we use carbon as a fuel source? Should we use chemical reactions such as lithium as a fuel source? Should we use plasma like hydrogen, or should we use fusion like hydrogen and helium? So nuclear, hydrogen, helium, plasma, hydrogen, oils, alcohols, blah, 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 carbon, or chemical reaction, lithium. What do you think is the safest? What do you think works the best? Carbon is known to get more carbon in the air, and it's bad for the atmosphere, but it doesn't really matter in space.
Doesn't matter in the universe.
Yeah.
And alcohol supposedly takes that pollution out of the air.
Hydrogen and helium can give everyone cancer when you fuse them together. Lithium smells weird, and it also gives you cancer. But if you just get hydrogen really hot and create plasma, okay, so they're saying they're using this hydrogen or they never said hydrogen. They never said in the article what element they're using, but they said they use plasma. How did they get the plasma to that level? How did they get the plasma heated? Didn't they have to use more energy to do that? You don't just pick up plasma. You don't find it on the sidewalk. You're like, oh, plasma, let's use this as a fuel source.
Yeah. Oh, look, I also found a penny.
Because they said it's the new green energy. It's the new way to new alternative fuel source. But don't you have to heat stuff up to the plasma level?
Yeah, that also raises the question. Are you losing more energy by using plasma as a fuel source?
Similar to the diamond thing. Are you losing more energy? Are you burning
more
fossil fuels to collect carbon out of the air to make diamonds?
That's...
So how do you use plasma as a fuel source without using another fuel source to heat it up to plasma? What do you do? I mean, you could technically...
That is a massive hole in that scheme. That is a massive hole in that scheme.
Yeah, you could push it together until it's really dense, and that creates heat because it creates more friction between the atoms when it's really dense. So maybe that would work, but maybe it would explode. I don't know.
Let's just say you just stay away from plasma energy. Just stay away from it. Just stay away from it. It's not with your time, your energy, and it might give you cancer because nuclear stuff is involved. So I've heard.
So this is a top search in Google. What is the best alternative energy source? Biomass energy, wind energy, solar energy, geothermal energy, hydroelectric. So you have water, you have biomass, which is carbon. So if you collect a bunch of plankton and burn it, that's just carbon still. You have wind, which
is unreliable because the wind doesn't always go.
Well, in the hydroelectric is reliable because, technically you don't always have water flowing, but if you have a river, technically you can always count on water being there. You can't always count on wind. You can always count on biomass. You can hopefully count on the sun being there because if it's not, you're dead. Geothermal, is that talking about
Actually, we did not
lava?
Bring up geothermal. No, it has something to do with the earth. I don't know.
Geothermal, would that be pressure? Because geothermal...
I'm not sure. I think it has something to do with
geo
pressure.
means earth, thermal means heat, so earth heat. What is geothermal?
Earth heat. You just need to get the earth heat, and you can use it to power your phone.
Sorry for breaking things down into Latin. Geothermal energy definitions.
Damn it, man! Don't you know Latin's a dead language?
Geothermal energy, geo meaning earth, and thermal meaning heat. I didn't need to read that because I just said that. Is energy made by heat inside the Earth's crust. Crust. So you don't do anything.
No, it's inside the Earth's crust. It's a conspiracy.
So you just inside the Earth's crust. So you're not even by inside the crust. Do they mean in the crust actually, or do they mean by digging down into the mantle?
I don't know.
The crust is very.
I think it has something to do with heat vents.
You go deep into a fault line where you could go where because there's geothermal worms, worms that live off of eating heat.
Okay.
So you have
they eat the heat?
Well, okay,
you can eat heat?
So think of photosynthesis where they collect sunlight for energy. The worms collect the heat from the earth as energy.
Okay, that makes more sense than eating heat.
Yeah,
just saying.
That would be like saying plants eat the sun.
They photosynthesize earth heat.
Well, it's not photosynthesis because it's not light. Would that be thermosynthesis? Is that a thing?
If it's not a thing, we have come up with a new term. We have done something.
Take what the worms are doing, but mass produce it. Dig a big old hole down to the mantle. Collect all the heat that comes out. Make it charge your phone.
And your car. That can also fly through space inexplicably, despite it being made out of garbage. That seems like a good idea.
That's clean. It's just direct heat. It's not like carbon, which when you burn carbon, more carbon goes into the air, which traps heat into the earth. You don't want greenhouse gases. That's bad.
And then, like, hippies get all up on you about, like, the environment.
So, alternative
We have no
energy.
idea-
Solar
we have no
panel
idea
is
what we're doing.
garbage. Wind power is garbage. That's all that's coming up.
Okay, so everything's garbage, so...
Except
you know
for
what? Let's just accept the fact that all fuel sources are garbage, including alcohol.
everything has its flaws. Alcohol burns too fast. You have to drink a lot of alcohol. It's stupid.
Well, depending
I
on
hate
the
everything.
efficiency of the machine, of course. I mean, I'm sure it's possible to make a machine so efficient it can run like a full day off of. But then again,
Okay.
how often does Bender drink?
A lot.
I'm pretty sure you see him put down at least one beer every episode. So
Yeah,
he's a
that's
drinker.
true.
He's a drinker.
Think
Not a
of-
keeper,
think
but a
of
drinker.
this. Think of this. Let's use Wyoming, for example. Wyoming is one of the largest coal producers of any state. We have all of the coal, and now the coal is running out. But what is something else that has to do with geothermal energy?
Yellowstone National Park.
Yes. Yellowstone
Volcanoes.
is very hot. There's constantly heat and steam and lava spewing from Yellowstone.
We could harness that.
Yeah.
We could just harness
Now
those.
that the coal is running out, why don't we just move all of our coal workers over to Yellowstone and harness all of that energy?
Get geothermal energy.
Geomothermal.
Geom-
Get that.
Get that stuff.
Get that earth heat. Get that earth heat from the ground. Go to the Yellowstone. Get the earth heat.
We became Filipinos.
I think it's a good idea. It's a good idea. You know,
Okay.
there's no more coal.
So-
Coal's bad.
So to answer the fundamental question of could alcohol replace fossil fuels? No, it can't. It's crap.
Fossil fuels are better, but they produce greenhouse gases.
Fossil fuels are crap too. Let's just all agree we need to go to geothermal, or as we call it here on the show, earth heat. Go
Alright,
with the earth heat.
So we got the earth heat, we got the sun heat. Instead of using solar panels, we could always use.
Earth heat? We
No,
just
I'm
answered
saying
the question.
we can combine them all. So we have satellites collecting solar energy that's shooting light beams down to more solar panels
Well,
on the Earth.
they kind of have to collect the sun heat because, well, they're not on the Earth, so they can't get the Earth heat. Logic.
Similar to how an antenna receives a signal from a satellite,
Wait.
or like Okay, so you have a satellite dish. You have people transmitting that to the satellite dish back down to your TV satellite. Instead of that, how about we have a satellite collecting solar energy? Okay, so it's nighttime on Earth. Picture this. But there's a satellite on the other side collecting energy from the sun and
And
then
what is-
beaming it over to another satellite that's on the dark side of the Earth, and then that's beaming
Dark
it down to the Earth.
Could you beam the energy? Can you
I
beam
know.
energy?
Yeah. I mean, it's a big flashlight. Flashlights are beaming energy.
Yeah, but it's like.
It's a photon launcher.
But then you're just launching photons at the Earth.
No, you're launching it at a target that collects the energy that you say, hey, no one go near this target, you're gonna get burned.
You're gonna die.
Yeah. So we combine. Okay. Say
You're gonna
that's
come down
say
with a
that's
serious
possible.
case of death.
So get the sun heat, get the earth heat, get the water heat, get the wind heat. Why don't we just combine everything that's not fossil fuels or alcohol? Forget carbon. It's bad for the atmosphere. Get all this stuff, point it all at Bender, and have Bender do that instead of drink alcohol. He would be very hot. He would be like a
Harness Bender heat.
Look at this. This is a really small map. But Yellowstone's in the blue zone here for geothermal. And then we got the San Andreas Fault going down. We got this big Alaska thing. We got the volcano in Hawaii. See, there's all these little spots where you could. I mean, all the more eastern states are screwed, but these states over here, I mean.
Well, you
That's
just have the
feasible
majority
energy.
of the power plants over there. I mean, they can still take the power and send it to the east coast, couldn't they? That's a thing. Don't we do
Yeah.
that now?
Yeah, if we do that with Wyoming coal. See, look at
Okay.
Wyoming coal. How would I Google this? Because I saw a map of Wyoming
Okay.
power
you know what,
plants.
Just don't worry about it.
So there's Wyoming power plants and sending all the energy all out, and you just like spider webs out.
Yeah.
So let's
that's
do
how
all
it
of it.
works.
Let's do everything that's not alcohol, gasoline, oil.
So let's
Any of that.
just take alcohol and fossil fuels out of the equation and just focus everything on what I am going to call as the collective known as nature heat.
Yep. You just call it natural energy.
No, nature heat's better.
So no plasma? Are we gonna use plasma or no?
No.
So solar. Okay, so we use solar power, wind power, water power, geothermic power. Those 4, nothing else. That's the most effective way.
I mean, we could use plasma if we're willing to risk maybe, I don't know, the nuclear stuff going wrong and giving us cancer and killing us. I mean, if you want to take the risk, be my guest. I mean, I'm not taking the risk.
I like how you have tape over your webcam. You can't take your energy ideas.
Yeah.
Solar energy. What solar energy ideas do they have? Here's the hot spots on the planet. Okay, so let's get all these maps. Let's see.
Just put solar panels in Texas. There,
Wind
problem
energy.
solved.
Biomass energy. Hydroelectric energy. So let's get all these maps. So solar map, that's sunny. There is no wind map. That's disappointing. What about a biomass map? Nope. What about a water map? Nope, we don't have any maps. Okay. So it looks
We
like
don't have any maps.
so there's the solar
We have 2 maps, but we don't have any maps.
So it looks like
Math.
okay, so it looks like the deserty areas that receive the most sunlight just happen to be areas that are near fault lines also, which is lucky for them. So the entire
So basically
west,
everything's going to be like cover.
the west and the midwest are all very energy.
If we go with
Rich.
this plan, a lot of our, at least like 50% of our energy, probably, give or take, is going to come from fault lines.
Yeah. Hot area. Fault lines and magma bubbles. So you got a big, massive magma bubble in the earth known as Yellowstone. You use that. Use the lava that has all flowed in between the tectonic plates at the San Andreas Fault.
Alcohol as a fuel source, not a good idea.
It would work for some things that you don't need extensive fuel for, like a monster truck.
Maybe that's why Bender drinks so much.
Why? Because it doesn't last very long, so he needs to drink a lot of
Yeah,
alcohol.
like maybe he's still sort of more efficient than technology nowadays, but at the same time, it's not quite enough so that beer and wine can just work. It's possible.
I mean, we'll
I mean, it
never
would
know
definitely
until the future.
stimulate the alcohol economy.
All right, so basically, I'm gonna go plug my phone into Yellowstone and see what happens.
Good.
No, I think this is actually something that the Earth needs to consider. Like,
The Earth needs to consider it.
yeah.
Do we live on Ego, the living planet?
Yeah, we're living on Earth. We need to use
We live on
geothermal,
Ego, the living planet. Okay.
geothermal and solar energy. That's a good idea. Wind
And
is-
maybe some water if the hippies don't get all butthurt about it.
Yeah, use some water. I mean, that's what powers Las Vegas. That's the reason Las Vegas gets to have lights on all of the time, is because of the Hoover Dam.
I thought it was just because the casinos could afford it.
Well, the casinos can afford it, and the electrical grid can also afford it.
Oh, so there's
'Cause
two
even
things that need to be able to afford it.
Well, yeah, I mean, even though the casinos have a ton of money, you can't just use all of the electricity. Like, if you have a bunch of money and you can buy all of the water in the world, it's not like they're going to let you buy all of the water because other people need water to survive.
Well, that's been bullshit science. Well, just click subscribe. And if you're on Patreon, thank you for giving us money. And if you're listening to this on iTunes, again, subscribe.
Don't forget to like and favorite. After all, I am a man that is also a bird.
When you favor this, make us feel good. Make us feel good.
Alright, so that's definitely going to make them not favorite. Like, if you do that, they're going to do the opposite of what you say, because then they're going to hear you sing,
Dislike.
and then they're going to dislike it. Please, I know we're,
I can just cut it out, man.
well, I mean,
Okay, here, let's just try it
I was
again.
I was gonna tell them to not dislike the video because we may sound like we have lots of mental issues. Just give us a like. We're getting started. We suck at this. We want to get better. We've got some interesting topics.
Actually,
help us.
if you want us, if you would like to help us make this better, you can comment and tell us how we're fucking this all up, and also you can,
Constructive criticism. What
or
were
you
saying?
can just criticize us, or you can financially help us by going to patreon.com and looking up the Unifiable on patreon.com. All we ask is a minimum of $1.
$1.
Or at least anything that you wouldn't notice is missing from your bank account if you were to, give us money on a monthly basis.
We need
I think I might be able to do that.
we need better senses of humor.
It's fine. The humor is great. So good.
We need
This is gonna be
we
a
need
5 out
technology to harness Earth heat.
yeah, we're gonna pioneer the Earth Heat movement.
Okay. Anyways, Unifiable bullshit science. I'm the Birdman,
I'm Bill.
and that's the show.